I'm just literally going to just give a couple of Divrei Chizuk. So before the Divrei Chizuk, I just want to show that Chazal knew about how to deal with a magefa, with a plague, with any kind of a virus like this, and all the other permutations a long time ago. The Zohar HaKadosh says a number of things. In Parshas Noach, the Zohar says, "Toch Chazi, come and see." And I'm going to read the Hebrew, actually, even though the Zohar was written in Aramaic. Lo Yisroi Odom Bashuk, that during a magefa, during a plague of this kind, nobody should appear outdoors. And that's why, among other reasons, we canceled and we asked that they be canceled, the even outdoor minyanim. But that's not all that I wanted to say. The Zohar also says that the main thing that helps against a magefa is the ketores. And in fact, there's an extraordinary lashon in the Zohar HaKadosh. It's a little bit frightening, but I'm going to say it anyway. Ki la magefa ain't tefillah ma'eles. Davening doesn't even help against a plague of this kind, against something that's contagious. We have to say the Ketores. So the Ketores, for those that are not familiar with, can be found in the davening. You don't have to say it from one of these fancy ones which is printed on a cloth, but it's good. It's certainly preferable. But please, over Shabbos, I ask that everybody say the Ketores, which is printed in the Sidurim by Karbanis. And furthermore, there is a very, very fascinating sifri. I know that some people found this already because some people sent it to me. I want to tell it to you because I hope that it gives us a little bit of chizuk about what is going on. And let's hope that it's something ultimately that will turn into something good. I'm using the Netziv's edition of the Sifri, but it's in Parshas Ba'alaischa, Piska Yudches, page Reish Lamed Vav. So the Netziv says, basically it's in explaining this Sifri, but I'll read it anyway. He says that this is about the Milchama of Gog uMagog. In Yecheskel Lamed Ches Lamed Tes, that's 38:39, Lamed Ches Lamed Tes, that there will be, it's not going to be a war, he says. V'lo yeh elo magefa gedola. It will be a great pestilence, a great magefa. So, when we talk about contagion and things like that, that's exactly what we mean over here, that we may be in the throes of Mashiach, and certainly we hope that is what will be coming out. In a few moments, I think you're going to be getting also from the shul, maybe right after the conference, actually. Now, we're calling this a conference, so we can talk. A number of more facts, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows candle lighting tonight at Locust Neris is about 6:49. Some places it's up or down by two seconds, but that's about it. The mincha tonight should be davened between 5:51 and 7:07. Nate's tomorrow, Emir Hashem, is going to be at 6:56. Shema should not be before 9:58. The Shemona Esrei of Shachris should be before 11 o'clock. Nobody should get up late, just taking advantage of this thing. And Mincha and Shabbos, the earliest is 1:33, and the latest is 7:08. Now, Shabbos, in some of the shuls, is going to be ending at 7:58. We end at 50 minutes after Shkia. So Shkia is going to be 7:58, and by us, if possible, to add 10 minutes to that, Emir Hashem, to end Shabbos. So the most important thing I think to remember is that, and I've written this in English, but if you don't mind, I'm just going to say it in Hebrew briefly. Kishem she kibalti schar ala drisha, kach kibalti schar ala prisha. When the Gemara talks about not being able to do something, so all of our sages said that if you can't do it and it's not the right thing to do, then don't do it, and God will give us credit. That's really what this is all about. Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to see that we're doing our best and not more than our best. More than our best is sometimes our worst. So I don't take anything away from everybody that wants to daven with a minyan. That's the most thing in the world. But if for whatever reason HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want that right now, let's daven b'yechidus. The Rosh Hashiva of Lakewood just told me on the phone, Rev Malkiel Cutler, Shlita, that he is davening b'yechidus. He's not participating in any kind of minyanim, even if they're 50 feet away. And there are many people in Lakewood that wanted to make a minyan in the backyard or the front yard for him. So this teaches us that the way to be together now is unfortunately to be separate. And it's interesting that in the pasuk that tells us, the last thing I'm going to say right now of Torah until there are questions, is that Hein am levadad yishkon v'agoyim yischashav. Sometimes we have to be together, like Esther actually said on Purim, to Klal Yisrael lech k'noises kol haYehudim, gather all the Jews. But if you can't gather all the Jews, and the interesting thing is that the language that's used originally was about Nelech lebeis haknesses and nevakish rachmim me'akadosh baruch Hu. The Zohar HaKadosh itself that said that we should do the Ketores said, let's go to shul. But if you can't go to shul, we have to feel bad that we can't go to shul. We have to cry that we can't go to shul. But we don't go to shul, and we'll do all the things that we spoke about, laning from a siddur, from a chumash. Most people don't have a sefer Torah in the house. That's fine. Do the Shnai Mikra ve'Echad Targum. That's called Shemos. Shemos stands for Shnai Mikra ve'Echad Targum. Try to do Mimav the Sedra, and if possible, to do one more round, because we're not listening to the Shabbos. But we have to have in mind, and I ask everybody, get from the Haftorah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mirz Hashem will send us a refuah shalema b'meheira b'yameinu. Okay, I think we'd like to open it up now to questions. Naftali, second. Let me just make sure how to do this. Naftali. Okay, I need it. What? Okay, but we don't know who's going to go first or anything, so let's. Okay, so I see a number of faces. Okay, somebody start speaking, and then we'll go to the next person, please.
Rabbi, it's Adam Maslow. How are you?
Okay, yes, good. I saw your face first. I was going to call on you first.
Okay, I have a hypothetical question. If an elderly person, for whatever reason, needs to be in their apartment, whether just for a Shabbos or even thinking forward for a 3-day yontif of upcoming Pesach, is there any heter that they could call if there's something going on, so someone could, walk over there and give them some help?
Well, yeah, absolutely. If it's somebody that I'm assuming we're talking about all religious Jews, and they know, but they should be reminded before Pesach, the elderly and the infirm, that they should only make a call if they're feeling very, very bad, if they feel quite sick. So I see Baruch Hashem many people are on, so I'll try to talk fast. When we talk about pikuach nefesh, that's what we've been doing all week, and I want to stress this. Even a suffix, even a svek, a doubt of a doubt, a double doubt, we want to err on the side of saving people. So even if there's a suffix, they can call, and we should take the call. So if we are the caregiver, even at a distance, so set your cell phone, if possible, so that you'll know that it's that person. Take the call, and if necessary, take action. Absolutely, Adam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think David Nyman, I think, was that a raised hand? I don't know. Okay, all right. I can't see everybody's face, but if you want, just try to speak up. It's fine. And if two people are talking, we'll decide who's richer, taller. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. Anybody? I see there are people with
Rabbi
questions.
Feitman, it's Eli Moskowitz. I'm happy to ask a question now.
Eli Moskowitz, please.
I'm getting most of my news these days from WhatsApp chats. So let me ask if I can ask one question in relation to something I received.
Sure,
there's something that's going around that says that this year there's a potential to have kulas when it comes to preparations for Pesach, and the question. Obviously, there are specific questions to ask as we get closer. But if the Rav could just comment in general, whether there's a theme this year that given that a lot more people are staying home than normal and the situation is extraordinary, if there's any theme among the Rabbanim for kulas when it comes to preparation for Pesach.
Well, there are. Elliot, it's a very good question, a very fair question. The irony is that there's something called Chumrah de Pesach. That's what it's called. It actually has a name. It's called being machmir for Pesach, and all of Klal Yisrael, every Jew, on some level or other, tries to be machmir. So I'm giving the caveat, the condition, the Tanai, that, and I don't think I really even need to say this, but I'll say it anyway because the post can say it, that we shouldn't, God forbid, take advantage of any situation like this and use a kula that it's unnecessary, because Pesach, generally, we try to be very machmir, and it brings us a Yeshua, it brings us a bracha. That's what we want right now. But that being said, yes, there are many kulas. I've already given a number of kulas, but I don't want to necessarily say every kula. I will run through a couple of things that have come to me. So for instance, with shmura matzah, so the seder, people should try to be very careful to have matzahs for the seder, certainly for the first seder, but even for the second seder, because outside of Eretz Yisrael, this Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath is almost like the first. Everybody should have shmura matzah. But there is quite a shortage, and it's also been difficult to go get it. There's simply a problem of shopping and obtaining these things. So if somebody has a good hechsher, now when I say a good hechsher, the best hechsher minute shmura, but shmura, which is factory machine matzahs, so that's okay. Then when we talk about cleaning, so we are home and everybody should clean for Pesach. But on the other hand, there are certain kulas that may happen that are possible if people can't kasher for themselves. I have issued a number of rulings about going a little bit easy. Let's talk about for the kashering. So for instance, when it comes to ovens, just to give an example, if somebody does not have a self-cleaning oven, so some years, most normal years, we say that either an oven should be kashered by self-cleaning or a blowtorch, or use some kind of an insert. This year, because of the difficulty, and especially older people that if they don't have a self-cleaning oven cannot, and it's very difficult for them to clean the oven, then they can just put it on broil and put it up for an hour to an hour and a half. That's only though, because it's not what we call libun, it's not fire, it's really heat, but it's not fire. So then they have to wait 24 hours. In other words, just to be clear, when it comes to doing a self-cleaning, you don't have to wait 24 hours. But in other words, the kli has to be an Eina ben Yomo. For those I see many Talmidei Chachamim, everywhere is a Talmid Chacham, so it's not an Eina ben Yomo. But this year, I have told a number of people that they don't have to wait 24 hours. They just have to put up the oven, Rabbi Aaron Kotler, held like this, etc., that you can have the oven cleaned out that way. And also, a number of people that have only one oven, they can use the same oven for milchus and fleishiks throughout Pesach, but the one that's used the most, for instance, usually meat, everything should be covered, and then the milchus can be used in the same oven almost right away. It should be wiped down afterwards, but the milchus can be done open. Okay, and there are some other kulas, but maybe we'll take them as one at a time as they come up. Okay, we have. I don't see anybody. Maybe just speak up if you don't mind.
Hi, it's Shia Streicher. Including in the kulas of Pesach, can we rely on the heter mechira for tefillas kelim?
So yes. So the answer is as follows. Excuse me. Tefillas kelim has become a very big problem because most of the kelim mikvahs are closed. I believe that one is open, and somebody told me that a second one might be open as well. So lechatchila, new kelim, and I'm talking about metal or glass, but for glass there is a heter because it's not a d'oraisa according to many poskim. In other words, the metal has to be toveled, has to be immersed mid-d'oraisa. Glass is a d'rabbanan according to most poskim, even though we do make a bracha on it. So on glass, I would say for sure you can use the heter. What Reb Shia is talking about, for those that are not familiar, this is not the heter mechira for Eretz Yisrael during Shemitah. It's not the heter mechira for selling Yechametz. This is the heter mechira for selling a kli to a Gentile and then borrowing it back. Now, I just want to tell you that there's a little bit of a mistake that's going around, which is almost funny, Nebuch, and somebody just wrote me that we need a little bit of humor, so I'll tell it over to you, and that is that some people thought that you can sell it to the guy and then buy it back. That doesn't really accomplish anything, okay? Because then it belongs to us. The point is to sell it to a guy and then borrow it back, because then it belongs to the Gentile, and the Gentile is not mechuyev to. Now, also, you have to sell it in such a manner that you're not giving it to him. Don't give it to somebody that's going to use it. It has to still be clean. It has to be kosher. It can't have been treifed up. But what Rav Shia is talking about is there is such a heter, and in a time like this, when you need new kalim, I'll talk about that in a minute. When do we need new kalim? But when we need new kalim, you can use that heter of selling it and then buying it back. It should be a good mechira, meaning it can be for $1 for all of the kalim, but it shouldn't be less than $1. You'll give the Gentile $1, and you have to give it to him so that you can sell it to him, and then he will give you the $1 back, and then you borrow it back. If he understands it or not, I don't know, but that's what you're going to do. Now, what is better? Is it better to do that or to kasher? It's better to kasher. So there are many people that are making Pesach for the first time. People have told me it's been decades or never. For many, many decades, they went to parents or in-laws and then to hotels, and they don't even know what this is to make Pesach. So first of all, Rabbi say, I want to tell you that we are also making Pesach, and there are many zechusim in cleaning for Pesach. It has to do with the Ibiyar Torah Mikirbecha, that we should all kind of get rid of the chametz, so to speak, the Yetzer Hara from within ourselves, the Yetzer Hara and the Satan, and we do that by cleaning. So people that usually go away don't do cleaning. This year we have, Kadosh Baruch Hu seems to have wanted us to have that zechus of cleaning and of kashering. Now, kashering, it's interesting, we don't make a bracha. The tefillah, we make a bracha, Shekin Hashem Zvoitz Tzvano, tefillah's kalim. So it sounds like toiveling is a mitzvah and kashering is not. But many poskim hold that kashering is a mitzvah, and we learn it out from the milchama with Midyan. If you remember, the Torah says that when we had the fight, the milchama, the war with Midyan, we took back, and there's one more example that I wanted to give a little bit of the chizuk, so I'll try to save it for the end about what we're in, but I wanted to just read that passage about that we're in the Gog Magog battle and the war. So I wanted to read it directly from the Nsiv. But in any case, in that war by Midyan, so we also kashered because we got a lot of kalim from them. Why it didn't happen before is a long story. It's not for now. So in any case, there is a mitzvah to kasher, and I'm not going to go through all the halachas now of kashering. First of all, we're going to send it out in Mitzvah Hashem on Sunday or Monday about how to kasher. But there is a mitzvah to kasher. If it's too difficult for people, then they shouldn't kasher. And if possible, buy new kalim. And if possible, toivel them. I believe Rabbi Weitz's mikveh is still open, the Kalim mikveh, but I think somebody has to check. And there's one more mikveh that I believe may still be open by Kolsev, but I'm not really sure. So it's better still to toivel, but if not, you can use what Reb Shia talked about, which is the selling to the guy and buying it, and borrowing it back. Okay, let's go further. Next, I don't see people now.
Rabbi Feitman.
Okay, Uri, I think. Uri, I hear you.
Yeah. When it comes to selling the chametz,
right.
Can we sell it to the Rav via Zoom, Skype? How are we going to sell the chametz?
Right. So I was going to talk about it on my list. Thank you, Uri. So the truth is like this. I did not want to make a decision on that until a little bit closer to Pesach. I have to tell you the statistics, at least for me. I can't speak for every Rav in the world, but no matter how early we put out and we will put out the forms in Mitzvah Hashem. Probably on Sunday we'll send them out. And the form is going to remain the same. So in any case, it's very interesting that most people wait till much closer to Pesach than now. So I want to hold off. But let's say that this matzav will continue. Then we rely upon making the Rav, in this case, if you want me, at the Shliach, over by the web, by the internet. This is one of the things, a lot of good things. This is one of the good things. It's interesting that those that are in business, as most of you are, I believe, so many people do deals on the internet, and the halacha is that whatever the methodology is on the internet of signing, of indicating that a deal is done, that works the halacha, and if it goes to Bezdin, the Bezdin will ratify and certify that it is a deal. So therefore, if you appoint me to sell your chametz on the internet, we're going to give you the opportunity to do so, as many have done even in the past, then it is a good deal. I'm hoping still that we can do it. I know one of the Rabbanim said that he's seeing people one at a time with appointments every 10 minutes. I don't know if that's going to work or not, and we're trying to avoid, the social gathering, and that's a little bit like a gathering. So I'd like to wait a couple of days. Sometime next week we'll send something out about it, but there will be ample opportunity to sell you chametz be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach.
Sure.
Okay, anybody else? All right, everybody knows everything. Baruch Hashem. Okay, Gavaldik. By the way, I do want to thank the people that have been participating in Shiurim early, and with all the difficulties and a couple of glitches in the in the technical. Naftali takes care of all of that for me, but sometimes the thing goes haywire. Anyway, it's all the Sutton getting in, and we have to realize that all of the things that are happening is not the Chas v'sholom, the Yetzer Tov. It's not the Rebbeinu Shalom, Chas v'sholom, doing something bad to us. It's either the Satan that doesn't want it, or it's the Rebbeinu Shalom testing us. I don't really know what. So just to go back for a second, if you have something that you want to ask, I will. But I wanted to just tell you about that in the tzif for one moment. Another very interesting thing. So I mentioned that the Netziv says, if you didn't hear it before, in Yecheskel Lamed Ches Lamed Tes, that's 38-39, chapter 38, pasuk 39, that it says that this is the Milcham of Gog and Magog, but the Sifri says that it's only going to. So we always talk about that there's going to be all the questions. How can I do my best? I know everybody's trying their best. We should try our best. So this Shabbos, for instance, and I sent this out, but I'm just going to want to mention it over here. We should sing Zmiris. We should daven, not quickly, not Chas v'Shalom, just to get it over with, but with Tam and with Kavana. And we should dress however we dress on Shabbos. I know people dress differently on Shabbos. Everybody different. Not asking you to put on a kapata if you don't wear one, but if you wear a suit and to come to shul, wear a suit by the davening and dress at the table as you would normally. You're not going to be on any screens, but there is a heavenly screen that we are all on, and that's the one that really counts. Furthermore, let me just run through some of this is going to probably come out. I see Ari Han, you're there. The letter that went out from the Rabbanim did not originally have my signature. It has it now, and it's coming out again. So when it comes, if you don't mind, with Yossi, I don't know if Yossi's on, Yossi Krause, but if possible, you'll please send it out. So I'm just going to be going over some of the halachas that the Rabbanim already sent out. I gave the Zmanim already, and then there are some good things to just mention. Vayichulu. Vayichulu is very interesting because we're supposed to have a set of edus. Al pishnayim edim yakum davar. So that's why Vayichulu is said all together. Not going to be all together. So if possible, any two members of the family, even man and wife, man and son, two people, a daughter, doesn't matter. Two people over here can say, hey, this, I waited and rested on the seventh day. However, interestingly, there's a machlokes, the Mishnah Brura and the Chazan Ish. The Mishnah Brura holds, as most yeshiva guys will do, if they daven the longer Shemana Esrei than us, they'll tap us on the shoulder and say, no, Vayichulu, because they want you to say Vayichulu. The Chazan Ish holds not to do that, because if you do that, it's making believe that the Rebbeinu Shalom needs our edus. He doesn't need our edus. We want to testify. So, but if you make a point of it, then should not say. Now, it's interesting that the ad hoc minyanim, the Friday night minyanim, they should say it. I'm not talking about now, because there shouldn't be any of those minyanim. But when they do have, and when we are okay with all these, and they're all kavua, so therefore they do say it. But now when we're all in our houses, then we shouldn't say it. That is limited to a minyan, and it's limited to a minyan kavua. So we shouldn't say the bracha of Magen Avos. Shabbos mevarchim, we do bench Rosh Chodesh. And that can be said even when we're alone. I mentioned that Rosh Chodesh is Thursday. For those that want to say the Moiled, which is not a bad thing to do. It's not absolute, but it's not a bad thing to say the Moiled, because the Moiled is Tuesday, 10:14 a.m. and 11 chalakim. You can say it in Yiddish if you want also. I know some of you have this Yiddish minig. That's fine. But the reason is that saying the Moiled has an effect on things like Kiddush Levana. So let's just talk about that for a moment. Our shul's minig is that the Kiddush Levana, we are Mekadosh Levana within 3 days after the Moiled. So that would mean that you just go 3 days from there and from the time. So, right now we're all by ourselves anyway, so nobody's getting together, and people should not get together for Kiddush Levana. Among other things, you have to say Shalom Aleichem, so that's going to be a problem. So just say it by yourself. This is, who was asking before about, Eli Moskowitz was asking about kulas. This is a real kula. Normally, we do not say it indoors. Kiddush Levana, you have to be outdoors and not through a window. This year, we can say it. There are many poskim that allow it. B'shas atchak. This is one of the biggest shas atchaks that I've ever seen. Le'oleinu, it should never happen again. And you can say Kiddush Levana if necessary from inside. Of course, you can go outside for a second if there's nobody around, but I don't think that we should be confederating and getting together just for Kiddush Levana. I sent out about laning, and I mentioned it now that we should lane the parsha, if possible, with Trupp, but not, and the maftir also. The maftir is Parshas HaChodesh. Parshas HaChodesh, by the way, is not a deraisa according to most poskim, even if you hold that Parshas Para is, Parshas Zohar, of course, is a deraisa. Many poskim hold that, in other words, it's descending order. Parshas, everybody holds as a deraisa. Parshas Parah, many hold as a deraisa, and Parshas HaChodesh, most hold is not a deraisa. So therefore, if somebody didn't say it, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is kedai to learn it and to learn it so that we know what it is. Do we say Yikum Porkan? So we're sent, with the Rabbanim sent out that you shouldn't say it when you're alone. It says over here, this is what the Rabbanim sent out, and this is where I quibble a little bit. So what you're going to get in the email in a couple of minutes, I guess, or maybe in an hour, is that some of them made it to say just the first porkon, the first Yikum Porkon by yourself. I don't have a personal problem with saying both, but it is, in other words, it's not the worst thing in the world to say Yikum Porkon all by yourself. But the prevailing minig that's brought in most of the minig farm is that if you're all by yourself, just to say the first Yikum Porkon. The reason that I'll tell you a little secret over here, the reason that I'm not so thrilled about that shita about only saying one, and I'm going to say both in Mirat Hashem, is very simple. Some say, I haven't really confirmed this, but I've seen this in many Svarim, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg in the 3-day Eish, that one of the things the Reform got rid of first was the double Yikum Porkon. They just couldn't understand, what do we do with two Yikum Porkons? First they got rid of one, and by the way, then they got rid of Shabbos and, kashrus and everything else. So, but the first Yikum Porkon you should say for sure, and if you want to do it like me, say the second Yikum Porkon as well. There's no avarachmim, even though we're by ourselves, but it's the kedusha of the Shabbos Mevarchim, that it's not because we're in shul. It's the kedusha of Shabbos Mevarchim why we don't say avarachmim. So you shouldn't say avarachmim. By Mincha, somebody asked if there's any difference between this Shabbos and other Shabbosim. So somebody wrote over here, we say Vanis Filasi, even though we wouldn't be reading the Torah. Yeah, we say Banis Filasi. Yes, that's correct. We do say Tzidkascha at Mincha because unless somebody is has a chassan in the house, I think there are some chassanim around. There's a chassan in the house, then you wouldn't say but otherwise we do, as all of us would in shul, and Be'ezer Hashem Yisbarach, hopefully we'll be back later. Now, there's a very interesting shaila about Chodesh Nisan. There is no Kel Mali Rachman. So this Shabbos would have been the big one. All the Gabayim know about this, I'm sure, or if you want to speak up, to say a lot of Kel Mali Rachmans. It's the last opportunity. A Kel Mali Rachman can be said by oneself. So it doesn't really require, if there's somebody in the house, somebody should, don't try to gather a minyan for it, the neshama will not have an aliyah from it. And by the way, I told this to many people that unfortunately are availum, even in shloshim, certainly people that are in the shana, and even people that are outside. We want them as an aliyah from doing the right thing. And I can guarantee you, without being a navi, that the neshama is going to be smiling from the fact that people are listening and not chas v'shalom endangering any other souls by coming near each other. Many of us, and I include myself, have heard terrible horror stories. I really can't say who right now, but a doctor in the ER told me that he is seeing so many Yidden, and I'm not talking about chas v'shalom that non-Jews should not be, we should daven for everybody, but Yidden and Erlich Yidden, for whatever reason, that they were a part of many different types of things. I hate to say it, Tishon and other things, and they weren't careful. They're on ventilators, respirators, and I was told, Loi Oleinu, I'll tiftach peh, but Loi Oleinu, the doctor told me that he thinks that quite a few of them will pass away within 24 hours. I'm davening for them. I ask everybody should daven for them without even saying a name. Again, what we're not going to do, we're not going to say Kaddish, we're not going to say Kedusha, we're not going to do Chazar Sashatz, we're not going to do Kriyas HaTorah. But we can do all of those other things, including benching Rosh Chodesh. We should do it, if possible, with the same niggin as we would do it in shul, and make a bracha on Hallel on Rosh Chodesh, but Ashkenazim do. So when Rosh Chodesh comes up in Miras Hashem, so the Hallel should be said with a bracha. Let me just see if there's something else that I wanted to mention. Tainis B'charim. So Tainis B'charim, I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to be more makel than what some of the Rabbanim sent out. You're going to get, I'm going to read it, and then you're going to get it in the mail. Owing to extreme circumstances of our mandated social distancing, and owing to the fact that some poskim are in view of being more lenient with the Tainis B'charim, if you don't mind, I will recommend Masechta Tamid. Tamid is only 8 blot. It's a beautiful Masechta, and I hope everybody still remembers it that's been learning Daf Yomi. It wasn't yesterday, but it was pretty recently, and maybe there's still some familiarity. Learn the 8 blot and make a siyum. The second one that they write over here, which I disagree with, I'm going to give you an easier way. It says people who have made a siyum may use the Zoom conference to be included in this siyum. Now, I don't know that we need a Zoom conference, but if you have a friend that's making a siyum, so you can just call up. You don't have to see anybody. You just have to hear it on the phone. There's another heter, which I believe I heard from Rabbi Felder in the name of Reb Moshe Zatzal, and this was not in a year like this, with all this going on, that a person can be invited. The whole point of a siyum is that the Gemara said, the Amari that made a siyum said, he made a yontif for the Rabbanon. That's when he made a siyum. He invited people. So that means that people are happy that you make a siyum. So if you call somebody up, you're making a siyum, you can call up all of your friends, invite them. Unfortunately, they can't come. So that's not going to stop them from not having to fast. As long as they were invited, they don't have to eat from it. It would be better in the Zoom thing and on the telephone if they heard the siyum. It's not ma'akav, Rabbi say. It goes by and this is my kula of the week, maybe of the year, of the century, that you do not have to be there. All you have to do is be invited. If my friend is making a siyum, I am besimcha. If your friend is making a siyum, then you're besimcha. Okay, just one or two more little ones. Yeah. Now, I wasn't going to talk about too much about the Seder, but one of the things that went out is that people that are over 50 and 60, says over here, for sure over 70, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, elderly people. So if they're having Pesach by themselves, so it says over here that nevertheless they should spend Pesach with people who they are not currently, they should not spend Pesach with people who they are not currently living with. So what do? So I just want to speak a little bit about this. And it's a little bit different than what was sent out by the Rabbanim. It's not chas v'shalom. I'm not disagreeing with anybody. I'm just giving other alternatives. I don't go by age on this. When the Gemara talks about zikna, what is a zaken? So the truth is that a zel zaken, the Gemara says, what is a zaken? So the truth is it's 60. And seva is 70. But when the Gemara talks about certain halachas about zikna, so it talks about very interesting things. Like, for instance, can a guy stand on one foot and put on his pants? Maybe none of us can do that. I don't know. But whatever it is, that's the definition of a zaken. So you see that it depends upon ability, and it depends. I think some of the people in the picture are trying to do it. So don't fall down now on my account. But the halacha is that it goes by health. So I would say that in terms of having people in the house or going to them, so it depends on how healthy they are. If a person is over a certain age, it doesn't really matter. And if they're healthy, Be'ezer Hashem Yisbarach, include them. Don't worry about them, have them, again, people are not going, but I'm talking about friends, relatives, and people that not available anymore. I mean, some people used to go just to have a seder in the nursing home. The hotels are not available anymore, so people are asking sometimes to come. So if you think that you're going to endanger somebody or they're going to endanger you, you're not mechuyev. Not only not mechuyev, it's probably also. The seder is not something that overrides pikuach nefesh chas v'shalom. But if everybody's okay, then there's no reason to not have a person that's over
Hi, what time do you guys
a
close today?
certain age.
6 o'clock? Okay, thanks.
So one of the rabbanim
I just need my bike.
consulted, believe of it, you'll probably get this.
There's someone around?
Can that
Okay,
person
is there a
who
lot
was
of
talking on the
people
phone go
there, or-
on mute, please?
I'm sorry. Okay, let me just finish for a moment. I don't want to mute anybody, but if we can just finish. So Rabbi Willick writes, it's a very good point. If a person is otherwise going to be totally alone, and they're willing to take the potential risk of mixing with another family who have no symptomatic people in their house, they should join in with a family or friends for the storm and or all of Pesach if they wish. So this is very important, but it's not enough. We all know that this disease, unfortunately, carries even when people are asymptomatic, and that is what has happened with a number of our yedidim. They were asymptomatic, and then they came down with it, and they're now positive, and in some cases got quite ill. So the only thing we can do is to go by a little bit of a chazak. It's an otherwise healthy person, and if they were not, as far as we know, exposed. And then I'm going to say something very delicate, Rabbi say. There's a pasuk that says Shomer mitzvah lo yeda davar ra. That's a pasuk in Koheles. And then that pasuk, so Chazal say that shaluchei mitzvah eina nizaykin. That if you're doing a mitzvah, you're not going to be hurt. It would seem from this whole saga and this Nebuch tragedy that's happening in the world and to Klal Yisrael, that's what we're talking about right now, that's just not true, right? Because people went to Tishin, they went to Sudas Purim, and they caught something. So what's the pshat? Somebody told me they were dancing with somebody, and they caught it. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, Zol gesund sein, the Gadol Ador, the Pesach Ador, Reb Chaim says that everybody misreads this pasuk and misreads that Gemara. He says there's no guarantee. Otherwise, there would be open miracles. Like a guy would be able to, I don't know what, jump out of a plane, and there's no problem because I'm heading for mincha, or whatever it is. So the answer is, he says as follows. He says that somebody that otherwise was going to die at a certain time, his time has come. So what will happen to him is, if Shemi Mitzvah Yedid Avara, so he won't die because of that. But he might die, in fact, doing a mitzvah, which gets him right into Gan Eden. He might die on his way to a mitzvah. So Rabbeinu Yoina writes in Shari Tshuva that if a person, let's say, did a mitzvah and then passed away, so it's as if his entire life was waiting only for that mitzvah, and that mitzvah got him into Gan Eden. So what that means is that there's no guarantee and that's shlich, he's not going to be nizik. So what it means is that he's not going to die from that event. But if he was going to die anyway, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help him that he'll die doing a mitzvah. It may not be that much of a consolation, but it really answers all the kashas, I think. It's very interesting. If you don't mind, I'm just going to add one little thing also to this that I didn't say before. There's a thing called mishing. I don't know if you know what it is, if you've ever heard of it. It's a Yiddish word, means not to mish, means not to mix. And where that comes from, ironically, is that even on a regular Pesach, when everybody's healthy, Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, that people didn't go to each other because everybody has their own chumrah, speaking of chumras. So this year, I believe nobody's going to mish. It's just going to be basically families. And it's so ironic. I don't know if that means that hanhaga, that way of doing things is correct. I'm not a Navi. Again, I can't read what I wants from us. But this no mixing, if there's anything that I said that anybody would like to comment on or ask about or anything else, please. I'm going to try to end by 2, but we may not even go till then.
About 5 minutes, Ellie Moskowitz. I just have one more question.
Somebody sent in. This is Ellie, just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Somebody sent, Naftali, I'm sorry. I'm going to show my ignorance over here. So Ellie, you talk first, then I'm going to read a question that somebody sent me. Ellie, is that you?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to ask this a question. It might be a little controversial, but is there any situation at all where someone from our shul should be participating in a private minyan right now? Is there any heter for that whatsoever? No, if they take every precaution, is there any situation where someone should be doing that right now? Because I have reason to believe that at least one or more people from the shul are doing that. I just wanted to ask if there could be super clarity from the Rav on this issue.
Yeah, I'm going to be very clear, but I'm not able. I'm going to explain why, to give an isser on that, and I'll explain why. It's a matter of covet for Reb David Feinstein Shlita. So, as I think you all know, there's been a whole mix-up about what Reb David Cohen said, and I sent out, and it's been confirmed now by his family that he is now against the minyanim that are outdoors, even with all of the precautions. However, Reb David Feinstein, as of the latest that I heard, and I'm really not in touch directly. Some of the other Rabbanim are in touch directly, either with Reb David or his shamus. So they say that Reb David so far has not come out against it. Me personally, Lanias Daiti, I am against it. But I'm mipnei kevaydei shel oiseh zaken. He is one of the Ziknei Hadar. He's certainly one of the 3 Ziknei Rashi Yeshivas and Poskim in America. The other one for sure is Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky. So, but they're all over 90, and I have great respect for them. So Reb David Feinstein, I'm not going to go against him. But anybody that asks me in my shul, that listens to me, I think that's not necessarily goes together, but anybody that does adhere to what I say should not be participating in any minyan. Now, I did give one heter. Probably everybody knows what it is, but I don't want to hide it. There is one bar mitzvah this Shabbos, which is bare bones minimum. It's mostly family, and I gave the heter within those guidelines of standing 6 feet apart, that this young man should be able to lane. I just felt it's too much of a tsar for a child that is, maybe he had his Boba Yomer, I'm trying to think, but he's not an adult, that's for sure, and legally, that has worked for over a year to prepare his parsha, and then not to be able to do it, that's a traumatic experience. So I allowed it, and after this, that's it. I don't believe that there's any other bar mitzvahs during this time frame. And that was the only reason that I gave that. And there are some other restrictions that I put upon them that are not negaya over here, and there will be no socializing at that minyan, and at that in that tent at all. By the way, it's an open tent, and they're going to follow all the precautions. But that's about it. Other than that, it is my firm opinion that absolutely nobody should be participating in any indoor or outdoor minyan. And what I want to say about that is also, my good friend Rabbi Noach Isaac Olbaum put it very beautifully, very strongly, and that is simply that it's the Eitzah Hara. It's not the Eitzah Tov. Sometimes we don't know if something that's being told to us is the Eitzah Hara or the Eitzah Tov. But I can give you one guideline over simple. When we're told to do something that Rabbanim, and especially many, if not all the doctors involved, it's not all the doctors, I think, to be honest, but 99% of doctors in this field are saying that it's pikuach nefesh, it's sakonas nefashis for all sorts of people. That's the Yetzer Hara talking, say, I'm going to go daven with a minyan. It's not a chumrah, it's a kula, and it's more than a kula, it's an isser, and many of the doctors have labeled it ritzicha. I'm not going that far, but many of the doctors, I'm sure you've seen the videos and heard about it, and I'm not very far from saying that it is halavai, that this shouldn't go on much longer. Okay. Now, Naftali, there was a question. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read the question. I haven't seen it yet. Okay. Oh, yes. So I can read the name. I'm sorry, Naftali, I lost it. I am not good with these things, Rabbi said. This is from Rabbi Meir. I'm saying Rabbi. He didn't say Rabbi. I say Rabbi. He's a big Talmid Chacham. Rabbi Meir Pasternak. One second. We're getting back to it. Where is it? I apologize. Okay. If someone has an elderly parent that needs to be isolated, can they leave a FaceTime session open from before Shabbos so they can communicate and monitor them? Is that more? No, that's it. Okay. So if there's an elderly parent, and I'm going to say again that elderly does not cut it in and of itself. Elderly can be, as I said, the Gedolei Adar were and are in their 90s and they're doing fine. But if the person is alone and there is great fear about them, then they can step in front of the monitor or whatever. What do we call this? I think 1950s, which is where I'm coming from. So if they can step in front of the camera and be seen, and if necessary, then the family member can speak and tell them what to do, or even if chas v'shalom they're feeling faint or something, call a doctor. Yes, that is one of the coolest that we're going to take in this situation. Okay, let me address the Kaddish issue. Okay, so somebody, Dr. Burke was just asked about saying Kaddish, and I'd like to just address the Kaddish issue because it's nogay of many people. So, first of all, and I say this not only with sadness, but I got very emotional talking to somebody about it, that people are in shloshim lo yoleinu, people have yahrzeit, which has a great effect on the neshama. But as I mentioned before, the neshama, what is there, something more? Okay, somebody sent in also about Kaddish. I'm just going to read this and I'll answer all the questions. Those who are in need of Kaddish, Kel Mal Rachmim, are invited to take advantage of Telzi Yeshiva's Kaddish service, where Kaddish is recited 3 times a day for names that are submitted. I'm going to give you the email and then we'll send it out. info@telz. Now, by the way, those that do not know, that's how the Telzers write it, not with a Z, TELSHE, Yeshiva spelled normally, .edu, EDU. I'll say it again, info@telzYeshiva.edu. This came from Tova Rosenfeld, and you know what? We should give it to other people as well that have asked for it. So they'll say Kel Mal Rachmim and the Kaddish. Let me just say what I was going to say about this. Kaddish is so that it will help the neshama, and Kaddish helps the neshama. There are hundreds of amazing stories, which I'm not going to bore you with right now, of how Kaddish saved people because the one in Shemayim was so thankful to them that the person said Kaddish. But on the other hand, there are other things that help as well. Mishnayos, I sent this out. Mishnah is oisius neshama, and when a Kaddish cannot be said, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of times throughout all of our history, and Mishnayos was learned, and Chesed was done, and other mitzvahs were done. Different learning can help the neshama. So we're knocking off Kaddish. We're saying that we're going to do something else for the neshama. Now, I did tell somebody, so I better share it with everybody as well. Some people know this, and I apologize if I've never said it in public, but I'll say it now. There's a halacha called not to be marba b'kadeshim. I am marba b'kadeshim. In other words, very often, if there's, for instance, let's say during the time when we say LeDavid, from Rosh Chodesh El through Sukkot, and other times, I will not say that we're going to say one Kaddish, and that's going to cover Aleinu and the Yom and LeDavid, etc. Or Baruch after Baruch Nafshi. I say Kaddish. I want people to say Kaddish after each one, and the reason is just these kinds of situations. We can sometimes put a Kaddish in the bank, And if we can't put it in the bank now, either we can take it out of the bank if the Yom Tif and say an extra Kaddish. So at the end of davening, for instance, Chabad is a beautiful minig that they learn a Mishnah or two and then they say a Kaddish. I'm going to recommend, I wasn't going to do it, but because so many people have asked me that for a while, so we can catch up. In other words, we'll know exactly how many days people missed Kaddish. So at least in our shul, I'm not telling Klal Yisrael what to do. It's not my job. But after Yom Tif, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to say a kapitel Tehillim and a Mishnah, and we're going to say 2 Kadeshim for if there's anybody there that missed Kadesh. We're not going to do it automatically because it's not necessary. But if there are people that missed Kadeshim, so we're going to say as many Kadeshim as the people missed. And there is tashlumin for this. Just like, for instance, in the time when the Beis HaMikdash stood, so Shavuos was very interesting. Right after Shavuos, for 7 days, that's why we don't say Tachman, by the way, for 7 days after Shavuos, our minig is because in the olden days there was tashlumin for I think somebody was trying to speak up. I'm sorry. Anybody? No? If not, we're going to wish everybody a good Erev Shabbos and a good Shabbos. And David should help him, Mitzvah Hashem, through our tefillas and our bakashas and our zemiras, by the way, and our shalom bayis and our chasadim that everybody's doing for each other, which is tremendous. And I just wanted to finish off with how great this thing called chesed is that everybody's doing. The pasuk says, "Olam Chesed Yiboneh." Hakadosh Baruch Hu built the world. I think if you look in the ArtScroll translation, it's Hakadosh Baruch Hu built the world with Chesed, but it says Yiboneh. What do you mean Yiboneh? He will build. Many every time we do Chesed with Hashem, rebuild. Person can do. And by the way, calling all those old people and the sick people and making sure that they have whatever they need, even if people are not going out of their houses, we can all do chesed. And in this chus of that chesed and the Torah that we're going to learn and the Torah that we are learning, that we should help him, Mitzvah Hashem. Well, the Chaylim should have a refuah shalema and the world should have a refuah shalema and we should have a Mitzvah Hashem, the time when we can be back together again with full davening and with full learning together, and we're going to be even better than we were before in everything. And the Eibishter will help to have Arich Hashem and V'Shalom to do that properly. A good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Kol Tov.
Amen.
Amen.
Shabbos.
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 Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Thank you, Rav.
Thank you.
Good Shabbos.
Beautiful.
Nice seeing everyone. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good Shabbos, y'all.
And thank you,
That's
all
all
of you,
people,
especially for all that you've done.
Leave? Do what? Leave meeting. Do what?